Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another exciting session of Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants. My name is Joe Grabowski, and for those who don't know, we're all about bringing adventure, conservation, and science into classrooms across North America and hopefully beyond as well. Very excited to welcome our guest today, Krystle Wright. Krystle is an adventure photographer from Australia, and she specializes in extreme sports and bringing those athletes to the world. She's a Canon Master Photographer, and she brings attention to demanding adventures and really cool landscapes that the public rarely gets a chance to see or be exposed to. And I'm actually going to steal one of her quotes here that I really like. It's, "Now these little machines that I hold in my hands take me on wild journeys around the world. The right kind of photography can be a ticket to beautiful places that people don't normally visit. With adventure photography, there are no sidelines that can hold you back from the sport. To capture adventure, you have to be part of it." So Krystle is calling us today from Silverton, Colorado. Krystle, how are you this morning?
I'm good. How you doing?
Good, good. Well, we're really excited to have you today to see some of your pictures, and I know we'll have lots of questions from the classrooms joining. So you've got the good stuff, so I'm going to let you take over.
Okay. Hopefully everyone can understand my accent because I am Australian, or as people like to joke, down under. But you could say what I am these days. I'm a nomad or a gypsy. I haven't had a home for 4 years now, and I travel constantly. So whether I'm sleeping in tents around the world or couches, you name it. But with my work, I'll jump into a couple of images straight up because that's what everyone would like to see. And let's see, start screen share. Here we go. Oh, hopefully everyone can see this. And so with what I do with adventures, that there are no sidelines. I mean, you get to be involved 100%. So if you want to be shooting paragliding or freediving or skiing, you yourself also have to do these sports. So in this image, this is the Bonneville Salt Flats in Utah, which I'm sure many of you have probably heard about. And then in this next image here, this is free diving in Vanuatu. And let's see, I'm not sure if any of you have camped in cold conditions, but this is on Baffin Island. And I can tell you right now, I could not feel my hands trying to take this image. We had a raging blizzard coming down the fjord, and we were trying to establish base camp. But it's not always brutal. There's also the beautiful serene moments. So this is actually Paradise Bay in Antarctica. So as you can see, like with what I do, I get to travel the world, and I definitely count myself lucky. But it does take a lot of hard work. Here, this is the Karakoram Range in Pakistan, and let's see, and then perhaps this is from where I'm from in Australia. It's my friend Ben Cozzy climbing. But I'll just jump off. Let's see. How do I go back to not screen sharing?
You're back already, Krystle. When you shut down the pictures, it brought you back.
Well, there we go. So I guess I'm much better at responding to questions, and I'd love to actually already throw it out there to find out what the kids would like to ask me about what I do. Hopefully explain that I'm a photographer traveling the world full time. I'm sure a few kids might have a few questions, and how do you do this, or what specific tales I could share.
Okay, that sounds good, Krystle. So what I'll do just very briefly is introduce our 4 classrooms. So we have a grade 6 class from Holy Cross in Thunder Bay.
Yeah.
And they're joining us in the library right now. We actually have another class. Mr. Cameron's grade 5/6s are joining us from Thunder Bay, Canada as well. In the States, we have Mrs. Pandola's class. They're a grade 1 class in Austin, Texas. And we have Mrs. Kendall's class. They're grade 3s joining us from Weatherford, Texas.
Cool.
So I guess we have the T's joining us today, Thunder Bay and Texas.
Awesome.
All right. So let's give Mrs. O'Connor's group in Thunder Bay the first crack. Your microphone's on if you have some questions for Krystle.
Thank you. Where'd you stand? Hi. Hello, my name is Lucas, and my question is, have you ever ended a job early due to danger or fear?
So in Pakistan, I was in a paragliding accident. we went to take off, and unfortunately things went wrong very fast. And I'm not sure if you guys can see, but there's actually a scar that runs up my forehead. And basically I was knocked unconscious, and I spent 12 hours being rescued, getting to the military hospital. And I basically came home a few days later with my eyeball was completely red. I had a huge black eye and lots of other damage, with tendon damage, fractures. And yeah, you could definitely say I had to end that job due to danger. But yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yes, if the classes haven't had a chance to watch the little, I think it's about 4 minutes. There's a video on the event page of Krystle in action. It's a great video. It's phenomenal, and there is a little clip of that injury in the video as well. So if you haven't watched it, take a look afterwards. All right, let's grab another question from Mrs. O'Connor's group.
Okay.
Oh, right. Banana broke into pieces. Can you put it back together?
Joe, are you getting that noise from our camera?
He's on mute.
Yeah, the music's gone. I don't hear the music anymore. Try the question again. I think we missed it.
All right. Okay. We're just having some technical difficulties. Maybe just skip us and we'll come back in just a moment if that's all right.
Yeah, no problem. Sure. Let's visit our grade 1s in Texas. Do you have some questions for Krystle?
We do.
What inspired you to be a photographer?
What inspired you to be a photographer?
Well, when I was in high school, I found that I was only interested in music, art, and sport. And when it came time to graduating, all my friends were going to university. So I thought I had to go to university as well. But I knew that I never ever wanted to be in an office. I knew I couldn't handle the four walls. I've always wanted to be creative. And it was actually my mum who suggested that I enjoyed taking photos, so why not pursue a career in photography? And so I went to study. I was actually horrible at university, but I found with the camera, as I learned more, I began to love it. And the greatest thing is that photography keeps me outdoors. That's probably the main thing, is I want to be outside exploring and the chance to be creative as well. I think that's what's really important to me, and that's what gives me purpose.
All right, thank you.
Great question.
Nice and loud.
How do you not get scared when you jump off cliffs?
I myself, I've done a lot of things, but I have not jumped off a cliff, as in base jumping. I'd say, I mean, I've done things such as hanging outside of a helicopter. I've been hanging on ropes on the side of the cliff. Perhaps for me, I feel comfortable in the outdoors, and it's all about educating yourself and how to stay safe. So once you have that knowledge behind you and you know how to be safe, then, I mean, there's definitely a little bit of fear. I can't lie about that. But it's good to have a little bit of fear, because that way you're actually focused and you won't make a mistake. It's when you don't have fear, it's actually even more scary, because it means that you're complacent, which can open up the chance of a lot more danger.
All right, another great question. Grade 1s, we will come back. I just want to do a couple questions with each class first, and then we'll swing back. Mr. Cameron, I know we've always got some questions coming from your end.
Introduce yourself and tell
All right.
what your parents' questions do.
All right.
Hi, my name is Adam, and my question, along with my parents' question, is, because you lead such a unique and different life, do you ever think of what you may do when you are older and perhaps unable to physically do the work you are doing now?
That is a very mature question. So right now I am 28 years old, and I hope to be doing this as long as I can. There's definitely questions that are thrown at me, whether I'd start a family and will that slow me down. But for now, I like just to focus on the present, that I love what I do, and it's all about staying fit and healthy. And I have friends who are turning 50 who can easily outrun me on a mountain. So it gives you hope that I don't think, by 40 or by 35 that you have to say, all right, I'm too old. I think you can push the limits and keep going as long as you can. I mean, that's a long time in the future we're talking about, so maybe in 10 years' time my passion is going to change. But right now it's not going to change because this is how I feel right now today. Perhaps if things do change, perhaps there's another stream of photography I would go into, such as portraiture, or maybe another opportunity would arise that I would become an editor of a magazine. But for now, I see myself being an adventure photographer as long as I can, and if I'm 50 still doing it, then I'll be giving you high fives.
All right, thank you.
No worries.
Jess. Question number 2 will come from Jesse.
Cool.
Jesse.
He's on his way. I'll just add, Krystle, what we're doing right now is my kids have an adventure log, and we really thank you for sharing your adventures and your experiences with us. You inspire us. We watched your video, and everything within that video resonated with us. So what the kids are doing is as they're listening, they're also writing quotes from you that resonate with you, and we'll tweet those back to you. And then last night, my kids shared your video with their parents, and they formulated questions with their parents. So you're not only inspiring my kids, you're inspiring adults as well.
Well, that's pretty awesome.
Okay, Jesse.
Hi, my question is, why is your biggest fear regret?
Ooh, all right. So perhaps everyone here is a little young to understand what regret can mean. So as you get older, how do I explain this? For me, I can't think of anything worse that if I'm sitting on a couch in, say, 10 years' time and I'm asking myself, oh man, what if I did that? Like, what if I had the courage to have done that? And if I'd done that, what if I was here? So I hate the question, what if? Because that, to me, is saying that I was too scared or I limited myself. I think life is so short that you have to be out there and just going for it. And it's awesome that I could sit here today and tell you guys, it's like, oh man, yesterday like I skied powder on Telluride, and it was a whole lot of fun. And I've flown above the Karakoram Mountains in Pakistan. I've seen penguins in Antarctica. I even had a minke whale swim beside me in Antarctica. So I think it's more so regret's scary, because I don't think anyone wants to sit there, even when, say, you guys turn 20 or 30, you don't want to sit there and go, oh man, what if I did this? Because that's a scary thing. And that's one of the biggest things, like as people get older, they get stuck in a routine, and life just sweeps them by. And that's the thing, like, you only get one chance. So I think it's important to make the most and just go after what you love doing, because if you follow what you love, yeah, it won't lead you astray.
Thank you.
No worries.
All right. Awesome questions and a really great answer, too. Weatherford, Texas. Let's grab a couple questions.
What happened? There we go. Oops, sorry. The computer froze.
Okay, I have a question.
What is your favorite place that you visit?
What is your favorite place you visit?
Favorite place? I struggle with this question because with every place you go to, there's always a new experience. So to choose a favorite place, it means you're comparing. But in the spirit of the question, I would have to say, South Georgia is one of my favorite places. When you go to South Georgia, you might have to look this up on a map. It's very, very far out there in the ocean. It's 3 days of sailing from Ushuaia in Argentina, and you head towards the southeast, past the Falkland Islands. And on South Georgia, you will stand on a beach, and there'll be 100,000 pairs of king penguins, and there'll be elephant seals everywhere. It's one of the most incredible wildlife places. So that's definitely, and to top it off, and on that beach, you will look up to the mountains and see these beautiful big white glaciers just rolling down the mountains. So definitely a favorite.
Thank you. You can go there. Go in front of the camera. One more. He's coming. I don't know. Here. I'll go. Back just a little bit.
What is your favorite animal that you've seen?
Favorite animal? Oh, let's see. I think I'd actually go back to South Georgia, and the coolest encounter that I've ever had was a baby elephant seal came up to me, and basically it actually hugged my legs with its front flippers, and it kept tugging on my coat. And what happens with the elephant seal pup is that its mother leaves her pup after 3 weeks, and the pup is left on its own to fend for itself. And if you could imagine looking into the eyes of an elephant seal pup, its eyes are huge, and it's almost like looking into, like, say, a Japanese cartoon. They're very adorable.
All right, thanks for the questions. Before we visit the classrooms again, Krystle, there was something I was wondering about last night, and it was, when you do your photography, do you find that most of the jobs are an assignment, or do you do a lot of the work too, just kind of on spec, that the pictures will be possibly purchased at a later date?
When I first started my career, I would simply just go out all the time on spec. I would read about something, or I would hear of something, and I would just simply buy a ticket and go. So I definitely always, use my own money. And most of the time it worked out. I could sell the images back. Sometimes it doesn't work out. But these days, with being more established, I definitely get magazines and newspapers who call me up and say, right, we need to send you to this place to do the story. But I still put in my own funds, and I go after projects that I feel very passionate about, and just go for it.
Awesome. Let's check in with Mrs. O'Connor's group in Thunder Bay.
Hi
How are
there.
things going over there? Under control?
They're under control. We had to mute for a few minutes, so we apologize if we repeat any questions. But here we go. We have Sophia.
Hello, my name is Sophia, and my question is, what has been your most challenging photograph to capture?
Okay. Let's see. I have one photo that has taken me 4.5 years to capture. Sometimes with what I do, I like to document, come into a situation with no idea what I'm going to do and just take photos. But sometimes I like to dream up a specific photo and chase that. And so there's one image of base jumping I wanted to capture on Baffin Island, but it couldn't work. And I had to find a new location, which was Moab in Utah. And everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. And I kept hitting a speed bump. And it wasn't, 4.5 years later, I finally had everything come together and to capture that image. So that was definitely my most challenging.
Thank you very much.
No worries.
Right. We have another question.
Awesome.
My name is Lauren, and we recently watched a video where you mentioned that you lived the life of a nomad. What age did you leave your family, and do you ever get homesick?
I definitely get homesick. I miss Australia, but let's see, back in 2011, I had been living in Sydney, and I would travel a bit, but I always had a home to come back to. And after my accident in Pakistan, I wasn't happy there anymore. I wanted to see the world, and at first, when I became a nomad, I wasn't so homesick because I was craving to see new places and new experiences. But it's funny, the more you travel and the more you're away from home, the more that you realize how much you appreciate where you grow up and how much you miss your family and friends. But for those who know me really well, is that they understand what I do and they encourage what I do. They don't want to hold me back. And these days I try to visit home a couple times a year, so it sort of balances out. But otherwise, I guess this is the lifestyle I know how to embrace. And perhaps, perhaps in a couple of years it will change. Perhaps I'll actually have a home again. But for now, I love being a nomad. Perhaps the best thing about it is actually meeting the people that I get to meet along the way. So yeah, it's a very rich experience.
Sorry for the interruption.
Okay, I'm just getting announcements in the background, but I'll switch over to our grade 1 class in Austin, and maybe they have another question or two.
When you climb mountains, does your camera get damaged?
Surprisingly, cameras are very tough these days, and they can handle a lot of tough conditions. It's usually the battery. When it's very cold, you lose power. But otherwise, the only time I've ever damaged my cameras was when I was in that accident in Pakistan. But otherwise, they're very sturdy. They're made out of metal, so it takes a lot to destroy a camera.
How long do the trips take?
These trips continually change. It could be anything from going away from one week, or I've done expeditions where I was paddling from Mongolia to Russia over 2 months, and that was definitely one of the longer trips. With my nomadic ways, though, I have been on the road for 9 months at one time, so it's always changing.
Lesson Lab.
What is your favorite mountain you've been on?
My favorite mountain? Favorite mountain. Perhaps one of the most recent projects that I've been doing. There's a peak called University Peak in the Wrangell St. Elias. And I've been going there for the last 2 years with an all-female team. And we're actually heading back this winter to try again. But when you see this mountain, it's absolutely stunning. If you can remember, Google University Peak, and perhaps you guys too can have a look and see what it looks like for yourselves.
We'll do that. Thank you.
No worries.
All right, so let's visit Mr. Cameron's class, because I bet he's got a couple more student and maybe even some parent questions.
Hi, my name is Cooper, and my aunt wants to know, what was your most favorite photograph that you took?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Perhaps, let's see. I would say when I went to Baffin Island, so this is up in the Arctic between Greenland and Canada, I was on this 1 month long expedition with base jumping, and the first day we decided to hike up, I was photographing everyone jumping off the cliff, and it wasn't until the very last jumper, when he jumped, everything came together. I had been sitting there I was up on top for a couple of hours, but for him, I'd been sitting in this one location for at least an hour, and in this fjord, this blizzard actually starts coming in, and the winds are picking up, and I was so frozen cold, but I would sit there because I knew this was this perfect shot about to happen. And the cool thing about the shot is that I know that no matter what I do, I can never ever recreate it because it was Mother Nature that made the shot. But definitely, and it was hard because I had another month in Baffin, and I knew I could never take a better shot than that. But that's definitely, I have to say, it's definitely one of my favorites.
Thank you.
No worries.
Melissa.
What do you do with all the pictures you take?
With all the pictures that I take, which is quite a lot, some of them sit on my hard drive and unfortunately never see the light of day, but generally my best images are published. So it could be in magazines, it could be in newspapers, billboards, anywhere really that you could see a printed image. Usually that's the hope. Sometimes also doing an exhibition is my favorite because I get to print my favorite photos and hang them on the wall for others to see.
Thank you.
Kaylee?
Hi, my name is Kaylee, and I was wondering, do you have a wild obsession that you've seen in the past on one of your excursions?
Wait, I think I missed half of that question. Could you repeat that, please?
Do you have a wild obsession that you've a wild obsession of an animal that you've seen in the past?
I have an obsession about one animal that I've never seen. I'm very much obsessed about the snow leopard, and I've always wanted to go into the Himalayas and just camp out for months on end with hope of seeing one. As for an animal that I've already seen or have experienced, I would definitely say the minke whale is phenomenal. They're a smaller whale, and they're very playful. When I was driving my Zodiac, sometimes I actually like to play in the bubbles from the engine, and they'll swim and weave under the boat, and yeah, I absolutely love whales, and especially the minke whale.
Thank you.
All right, let's grab one more question from Mr. Cameron's class.
Kendra. Kendra has an ask question. Nice and loud, Kendra. Move in so you're on camera, kiddo.
Hi.
I can't see you. There we go.
Hi, my name is Kendra. Have you ever thought of retiring from your job?
Sorry, the connection cut out again. Could you repeat that?
Have you ever thought of retiring from your job?
Oh, retiring. Oh, that's scary. I haven't thought about retiring. I'm very young to retire, but I don't. Here's the thing for me is that I don't have a plan B, and when you don't have a plan B, you have to make plan A work. So I definitely love photography. I hope to keep doing it as long as I can. And I'm sure if I decide to retire or change my mind, I would have to find a plan B. But for now, yeah, I only have a plan A, and I'm going to keep trying to do that as long as I can.
Thank you.
No worries.
All right, I think that's an awesome point that having a plan A, you're going to be much more likely to go for it and to put everything into it. If you know you have a safe backup always waiting for you, it might make you less likely to pursue your #1 goal. So that's awesome. That's a really good point. Weatherford, Texas. Do you guys have a couple more questions?
I forgot what to ask her.
Okay. Does someone else have? It was about the camera.
Oh, what's your favorite kind of camera?
What kind of camera?
My favorite. I use Canon. Canon is definitely my favorite camera, and they have many different models. There's things called like the 5DSR or the 1DX, which is sort of the top range Canon cameras, but for sure they're definitely my favorite because they've never failed me in the wilderness. And thankfully, Canon now support in what I do.
What equipment do you use?
I use Canon cameras, and with me I tend to take 2 cameras, and I have about 6 lenses, along with some underwater housing, which means I get to put my camera into an underwater housing, so I can dive under the waves and shoot surfing or shoot penguins. And then otherwise, other equipment I have includes everything from skiing to free diving to rock climbing, mountaineering. So I have a lot of toys to play with.
Okay, well, Krystle, thank you so much for hanging out with us today. I'm going to visit maybe Mrs. O'Connor's group just because I know they did have the mic problem, so I'll see if maybe they have a final wrap-up question for us today.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Jamie, and my question is, how old were you when you started working as a professional photographer? Did you go to school to learn how?
So when I left high school, I went to university. So at the time, I was 18 years old, and my university course was 3 years long. I absolutely hated it because the university course wasn't very well structured, and I didn't like. I was tired of sitting in a classroom, and so when I was 19, I started to seek out work experience and mentors in the field. And that's how I learned photography. For me, I realized that I am a practical learner. I'm not a very good theory learner. So if someone is telling me stuff, it's very hard for it to sink in. So instead, I like to be very hands-on and practical. And I finished my university course, barely, but it was through my mentors that I was able to really become a professional photographer. And when I was, when I was late 20, just before I turned 21, I started to work in the industry.
Thank you.
No worries.
Okay, well, Krystle, again, thanks so much for hanging out with us today. I'll just mention to the classrooms that are joining that you were just recently awarded the AIPP Sport Photographer of the Year in Australia, so that's pretty cool.
Definitely cool.
Yeah. And yeah, it's been just setting this session up. It's just been a blast. It's been great to look at your images, and really fun to have you join these classrooms today. And I think you're definitely going to have some students around definitely Texas and Thunder Bay thinking about going out, doing a little adventure, taking a few photographs while they're doing it.
No, that's awesome. And the cool thing with adventures is that it never has to be, doesn't have to be huge. It doesn't have to be something epic. As long as everyone is just getting outdoors on the weekend or any day you have free. I think it's really important to realize adventure can happen in your own backyard.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to turn the microphones on and let the classes say goodbye and thank you. So here come the microphones. There we go. All right. Well, thanks again, Krystle, and I hope you're able to get back out onto the slope soon for some more skiing. And we're going to sign off for now, but we'll let the classes maybe say goodbye again after we sign off. So thanks again, everyone, for joining in, and we're officially off air.